Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to unravel a really profound parable. It's all about divine law, human ambition, and, well, the pretty serious dangers of what you might call spiritual engineering. So, let's dive right in. So the whole thing kicks off with this incredible image. You've got this master weaver, basically a mystic, right, who tries to do the impossible. He wants to literally weave pure sunlight into ordinary cloth. I mean, that one metaphor just perfectly captures the whole story. This amazing mix of skill and, let's be honest, incredible hubris. So yeah, we're going to go way beyond just the story itself. We're going to investigate the mystical process, the spiritual physics that would even let someone attempt something like this. What does it actually take to bring something that isn't alive to life? Okay, so first things first, before you can even start, you have to understand the weaver's tools. And these aren't just any tools. We're talking about the divine blueprint of the entire cosmos. All right, so you've got the Sephiroth, and these are not just, some abstract philosophical ideas. For our weaver, you have to think of them as a cosmic loom. This is the actual framework that all of reality is woven on, and he has to figure out how to use it directly. So how do they actually do it? Well, it's this really precise three-step process. First, you've got to align your own soul with the cosmos. Then you tap into what's called chakma, that's divine wisdom. And finally, you use gevura, which is all about strength and judgment, to actually shape the raw material, to give form to the lifeless clay. Okay, so if the Sephiroth are the loom, then what are the threads? That's where the alphabet comes in. We're talking about the 22 holy letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And according to ancient texts like the Sephirot Zira, these are not just symbols. They're the literal, primordial building blocks of the entire universe. Each letter is a vessel just humming with divine energy.
And this is where it gets wild. It's basically linguistic alchemy. The weaver uses this incredible, intense focus, they call it ratzon, to combine these letter threads into very specific sequences. It's like they're reciting the DNA of the cosmos to bring the clay to life, literally rewriting a page in the book of the world.
All right, the loom is set. The threads are ready. Now for the main event, the spark of life itself.
So what's the secret ingredient? It all comes down to one word, emeth. It means truth. The weaver writes this on the creation's forehead, and that single act creates a bridge, a connection between the spiritual world and our material one. In Kabbalah, truth is the seal of the Almighty, the absolute prerequisite for any form of life to even exist. But here's the thing, and it's a huge catch. The life that this creature has, it's a borrowed light. It's just a reflection of the Creator's truth. It's not its own. And that means, yeah, it's powerful, but it's also unbelievably fragile. It's completely dependent on that external connection.
And that fragility, well, that's where things start to go wrong. The creation is alive, sure, but its very nature means it's just not built to last. That divine truth, that sunlight, it's just too much, too heavy for a creature of earth to carry forever. And check this out. This is the off switch. To deactivate the golem, the weaver just has to remove one single letter from its forehead, the first one, the aleph. Suddenly, emeth, truth, becomes meth, dead. Just like that, one letter is the difference between life and death. So, why the aleph? What's so special about that one letter? Well, in mysticism, the aleph represents the oneness of God, the very breath of life. So when you remove it, you're not just erasing a symbol, you are literally severing the divine connection. The soul, the neshama, gets pulled right back to its source, and the creation, poof, it just collapses back into dust. But this whole process, it has a dark side. There's a huge inherent danger here. Because when you play with that much light, you can't help but cast some really, really deep shadows. And in those shadows, you find something called the clip-off. Think of them as shards or shells of negativity. They hang around on the edges of holiness, drawn to the light like moths to a flame, but they can't actually touch it. And a creature like the golem, with all that raw power but no soul, it's the perfect target. This is the mystical reason the creature goes on a rampage in the legends. So why is it so vulnerable? Well, it's pretty simple. The thing is fundamentally incomplete. It doesn't have a soul, which means it has zero internal moral compass. It literally can't tell the difference between a holy impulse and a destructive one. It's just a vacuum, waiting for the darkness to rush in.
So after all this, what's the big lesson here? What does our Master Weaver finally learn from this whole powerful and kind of somber ordeal? The core theme is really about humility. The golem is this powerful reminder that no matter how much we learn, no matter if we crack the secret alphabets and understand the mechanics of the cosmos, we can't manufacture a soul. You just can't build something that has the capacity for love or mercy. And in the end, the whole story just points us back to the Ein Sof, the infinite, the unknowable source of everything that we can never fully understand. It's this beautiful reminder that some mysteries are just beyond us, and maybe that's okay, no matter how smart or skilled we get. And that's the final and wisest choice our Weaver makes. He puts away his threads. He stops trying to force new things into existence, and instead, he learns to see the divine that's already in the world all around him. He returns to the proper order of things. So that leaves us with one last question, right? This old mystical story feels surprisingly modern. In our own lives, with our own ambitions, whether we're creating new tech or art or even just building our careers, how do we know? How do we know when we're weaving with light and when we're just playing with fire?